Adele gets a taste of true gender equality. She will have to pay her ex-husband half of her $190 million fortune. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on The Sun and Twitter, we're going to talk about gender equality and feminism, as well as divorce. You see, usually it's men who get screwed over in a divorce. There's many stories out there of rich and famous men, and men in general, who lose their entire fortunes, their houses, their children's. It's a well-known fact that men are highly discriminated against in court, and that women screw over men all the time. 70% of all divorces are initiated by women, and many of them use it as a way to cash a check for the rest of their lives, including alimony, child support, and half of all assets. I find it very dystopian, because usually it's never the other way around, but lo and behold, thanks to feminism, thanks to divorce laws, and thanks to divorce court, it is now a woman who's being screwed over. Wow. I guess that's just what happens when we have a society that claims to want equality. You're going to find out that equality kind of sucks. You see, for a long time, women wanted to be treated like men. What they didn't realize is that men are treated like trash. I've got a little story here for you. On the Ask Men subreddit, Eat My Cucumber says, "You were spot on. My uncle was an unlucky one. His wife cheated, and although she was obviously an absent parent, she got custody. My cousins are pretty young, and they try to talk to their dad as often as they can on the phone because they live across the country. One time my uncle looked physically pained during a phone call, and he grabbed his keys and ran out the house. The mom wouldn't buy my little cousins a Happy Meal because they wanted this particular toy. My uncle ran out and paid for the Happy Meal, but just asked for a toy. The next day, he sent it from New York to California. My cousins grew up without much from my ex-aunt because we're pretty sure she used the child support money on herself. She's never home, and the guy she cheated on with my uncle with is just as absent from my cousins' lives. The divorce happened years ago, but my uncle is crushed. We all knew he wasn't going to win, and he is the most amazing dad. He's still a broken man because he loved this woman so much." Now, there are countless tales like this. Marriage itself is now, not only is it a bad idea for almost every single man out there, there's actually plenty of reasons now for men to never get married. Why risk all of your assets? Why risk a woman who is more likely to divorce you, divorcing you? Why risk your children? Why risk anything? Now, I'm not a proponent of men going their own way. I do not believe in it. But at the same time, marriage scares me. It scares the shit out of me. What man in his right mind would possibly want to get married? But that's the way the cookie crumbles, because when the laws are actually applied equally, well, then we have Adele, one of the richest women alive, losing half of all her assets. Here on The Sun, hushed split deal. Adele's £140 million divorce from ex Simon Konecki will be kept secret, judge rules. Now, usually it's men who get screwed over, like I mentioned earlier, but this time it's Adele. And this is really saying something because some of the richest women alive are only the richest women alive because they were widowed or because of divorce. Jeff Bezos is a really good example, the creator of Amazon. His wife took half of his fortune and now is one of the richest women alive. Not because she worked for it, not because she earned it, but because she was married to Jeff Bezos. There's a lot of women out there who could never, ever generate this kind of wealth on their own. And I think that it's kind of poetic justice that Adele, who for the most part did earn her own money, is now being forced to give half of it to her ex-husband.
The police. Get what you fucking deserve!
We truly do live in a society. So, I think this is even more, I don't want to call it poetic justice. I want to call it equality, because that's what this is. As far as I know, her husband cheated on her. He cheated on her, and he still gets half of all assets. This happens to men all the time. Wives cheat on their husbands, and then they divorce. And then they take half of their fortunes and get paid for the rest of their lives, while they're banging some other man. And now, finally, the shoe is on the other foot, and Adele's being screwed over in the same way. So the singer, 31, split from the charity boss, Simon Konecki, 45, last April after 8 years together. But they had not struck up a prenup. Mistake number 1. Deal to protect her fortune. Now, There are a lot of stories where judges will throw out prenups, but in my opinion, if you are going to get married, you may as well have a prenup. It's better to have one than to not have one at all. So her request was that the settlement was private. Her request for the settlement to be private was approved by a court in LA. There's a lot of different stories out there about this right now. Some people claim that the fortune is being split in half. Other people are speculating that he probably will get half. But according to the courts, this is supposed to be a secret. And I would not be surprised if he did get half of her fortune, or even 1/3. But either way, she's gonna have to pay. And she's gonna pay big time. Maybe it was half of her fortune in exchange for alimony. Maybe it was alimony in exchange for less of her fortune. They had no prenup, so she is absolutely screwed. This is what happens to men all the time. They get cheated on, and then they get financially fucked over. This is life for men. And now it's life for women. And hopefully, since society claims that it wants to be pro-feminist, which is allegedly about equality, we all know it's not about equality, then hopefully this will happen more. Not because I think that people like Adele deserve it, because I don't actually think that, but to even the scales and to make society fair. Why should only men suffer because of broken divorce laws? Once women also suffer, maybe then we can change the broken divorce laws and make them more fair. Because as it is, they're totally bullshit. Now, Adele by no means is going to suffer. I mean, she lives in a £6.9 million mansion. But I think the fact that it's happening at all proves just how unfair divorce can be. She's gonna end up losing a lot, most likely. So here in the comment section, my 2 cents says, a divorce settlement should work both ways, as a majority of women take everything like a tornado. So on Twitter, people are talking about this. Dr. Rachel Jane says, and he cheated on her, like damn, he's mad AF. She's out here looking fine as wine now. Yeah, isn't it amazing that a lot of these women, like they only give a shit if it happens to another woman. Men get screwed over all the time, and you know what these women say? You go, girl. Take everything he's got. You deserve it, even though you did nothing. But now that it's happening to a woman, oh my god, it's such a tragedy. This exposes one of the biggest red pills about women. Double standards. Women will always say that men shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, but they'll do X, Y, and Z, and then when you ask them, you're being a hypocrite, why? They'll just say, well, you know, he didn't treat me right, and he was a bad man, and he wasn't giving me the attention I need. They always shift the blame onto the other person. Like, there's a severe lack of personal responsibility that I've noticed with a lot of women out there. And I find it very childish, and, you know, I just think they're full of shit. Desaline says, this happens to men every day, B. And yeah, it does. I'm glad that people are able to say this. Oh, if it seems unfair, it's because it is. Now, maybe, like I said, the more this happens to women, maybe women will wake up and realize that divorce isn't fair. But since the majority of breadwinners tend to be men, I don't see this changing anytime soon. And while I would like to get married, and, you know, I'm not planning to not get married, oh boy, I am certainly not looking forward to it. Because what is it? What's in it for men anymore? A lot of women these days can't cook. A lot of women these days have no skills. A lot of women these days just are not good wife material. It is the truth. And it's very upsetting. It's very sad. So let me ask you this. What's in it for men? Here we have a woman who says, doesn't make sense when he cheated. Now you know how it feels. Welcome to equality. Yeah. It really doesn't make sense. If a woman cheats on her husband, she shouldn't get anything in the divorce. In fact, she should get nothing and be shamed. But that's not how the divorce courts work. A woman can cheat on a man behind his back, even when he was a good husband and father, and then take all of his stuff and his children, while she abuses her kids, uses all of the alimony and child support to treat herself because she deserves it. Slay queen. And be a horrible mother. That's life, baby. Don't you love feminism? Don't you love equality? Apparently not when it happens to you. So I agree. It doesn't make any sense. But that's how the system works. But you know what, my friends? That's pretty much the story. This is ultimately a result of the broken divorce system, unfair divorce laws, and feminism. Congratulations, women. You wanted to be treated like men. How's it feel? I would assume, not good, but that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? Men out there, women out there, I understand that You know, there's good women out there, there's bad women out there, there's good men out there, there's bad men out there. But I've got to tell you, when 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and when women win the majority of cases, even when they cheat, it's just really hard to believe that, oh, this is an equal problem, because it's not. This is a highly unequal problem. And Adele having to pay her ex-husband who cheated on her, that's what men have to deal with all the time, and it's usually worse for a man. So you know what? Let me know what you think. Now, if you want to support the content that I make, you can join me on Patreon or Subscribestar. If you want to donate, you can find my donation page down below in the description. You can also donate with Bitcoin. Lastly, if you like this video, consider liking it, sharing it, and subscribing. As always, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.